Well, I'll open with giving Alabama a lot of credit. They out-physicaled us at the line of scrimmage. Their quarterback, I thought, played really well. They've got great skill players. We knew that coming in. We were able to contain them a little bit early. Thought we had some big stops in the red area in the first half, and then second half we couldn't do it. We didn't stop them. Give their coaches a lot of credit. They outcoached us. They did a good job, and we got to do a better job of helping our players put them in a chance to be successful. But I was really pleased with the way our guys competed. Just frustrated that we couldn't get anything going in the second half, especially that opening drive. I thought we were going to be able to run the ball down, and then we stalled out on that opening drive and really lost momentum after that point, especially when they hit the big long bomb to Waddle. And it was a big play by them, nice schemed up play. Give them credit, and we got to go back to the drawing board because we still got a really good football team, and we control what's in front of us by how we play.
First question this night will go to Mark Weiser, followed by Seth Emerson.
Hey, Kirby, obviously Alabama's has a very explosive passing offense. When you look at what you guys did defensively, what were some of the breakdowns beyond just the amount of talent and at the quarterback and wide receiver position for them?
Well, I thought they made several explosives. Start with they ran a bubble wheel where they throw the bubble out there, and they've got Waddle as the bubble guy, and everybody's worried about him. And Devontae slipped by our star and caught a touchdown on a bubble wheel. It's actually a play we repped, and we gave it up for a touchdown to the scout team, and then they beat us with it. They rocket motioned out of tray formation and hit us on a double move shot to Waddle. And did a good job. They made a couple really big throws. I mean, you think about the third down they've got down there in the red area that we're going to get off the field, and we get a PI on Stokes. And then Stokes had Devontae really covered well. I thought it was a great throw and a great catch. I mean, when you play man-to-man on those guys, you got to be able to get the ball out and make plays. And I thought Devontae Smith played really big for them tonight. He caught a lot of 50-50 balls as well as Waddle. So give them credit.
He likes to throw down the middle. Was tonight just kind of catching up to him a little bit, or is that just what you get with Stet, that he's going to take those chances?
Seth, I'm sorry. I didn't. I heard something about down the middle.
Yeah. Sorry, we've got the background here. Stetson likes to take chances. He likes to throw it down the middle. Did it catch up to him a little bit tonight?
Well, I don't know that I would argue that he doesn't like to take chances. Now he made a couple, he made a couple bonehead mistakes and got away with them, but then some of them weren't his fault. He had a batted ball that was a pick. He had a ball that I don't know for sure, but I thought Jermaine could have caught and went through Jermaine's hands a little high, and they picked. But then the bonehead was scrambling out of the pocket and throwing the ball across the field where nobody was there. That was really the poor decision. And there was a couple other poor decisions that didn't cost him, meaning he got away with it, which happened in the Tennessee game. He threw the ball deep into cover two he wasn't supposed to do. So he's not perfect. He's learning. He's growing up. He also made some good throws and made some plays, and he even made some checks to put us in really good situations. But Stetson's got to just play within himself and allow the people to help him around him. And we got to help him with the run game around him because we can't throw the ball that many times and hope to be effective.
Next, we'll go to Anthony Dasher, followed by Dean Legge.
Coach, can you talk about right at the end of the second quarter? They drive down the field. Looks like, y'all had stopped them. Y'all had gone off the field. Rich was saying something, there's a question maybe about that, the spike of when it happened. What could you tell about what happened? How big of a momentum swing was that right there for them?
Well, I didn't think it was a huge momentum swing. I thought it brought the crowd back into it. We probably didn't play aggressive enough defensively, and that's on me. That's my responsibility. We didn't want to give up a shot to one of those big guys, and we busted a coverage they hit Waddle over the middle on. But the official on my side said that the spike, when they spiked that was all the time they had. But they went back and reviewed it, I guess, and that goes back to the rule they put in last year. They had 3 seconds, so they were able to spike it. They had 1 left, and when he told me that they were done, and I sent the guys in. But we had a plan. We repped that every week. Our plan was to go out and try to block the field goal or possibly get a field goal return, but certainly shouldn't have played as soft as we did. We do when we beat Tennessee and Auburn. We're honest with the players. We're going to show them what they did well. We're going to show them what we didn't do well, and we're going to work to get better. You know, I'm a big believer after wins or losses, you got to be here. You can't listen to the noise. So is there things we got to work on? Absolutely. Is there things we got better at in this game? Absolutely. We just played a really good football team, all right? And we didn't play our best game, and we turned it over 3 times. I thought we did some good things in special teams. I thought Jake Camarda was a weapon, and we got to get better. I realize that, and that's on me, and that's my responsibility, and that's what we're going to do going forward.
Next, we'll go to Jed May, followed by Jake Rowe.
Kirby, you mentioned this a little bit, but Stetson tonight, and particularly that 3rd interception, how much of that do you think is just, him trying to do too much, and how much can he learn from a game like this, when mistakes like that come about?
You learn a lot. He just said, I tried to do too much. I thought I had to make a play there because we were down, and he was pressing a little bit. I'm not as frustrated with the throw as I am him aborting the pocket and leaving the pocket. He actually ran to where the pressure was. And he broke a tackle, but he ran to where the pressure was. You can't do that. You got to step up in the pocket in our league and be able to make throws down the field, and he's shown he can do that. He just didn't do it on that play. But, the other 2 interceptions weren't all his. I have to watch the batted ball and see where he was going with it. But then we had another, that went through Jermaine's hands and got out on us. But ultimately, when you throw the ball, you know that those things can happen, just like for them. If we could pick one of those passes off, we had a couple drop picks. And I thought that if we pick a couple of theirs off, the game changes.
Kirby, if I had told you coming into this game that you guys were going to run it kind of as efficiently as you did, if I think almost 5 a carry and you would kind of struggle to score like that, I mean, would that have come into your mind? I mean, it seemed like you guys had a more consistent rushing attack than you've had in previous matchups with Alabama.
Well, I think we're getting better at running it. And they also had a guy out on their defensive line, but I thought that we ran the ball well. We tried to keep them off balance with the passing game. I thought our offensive line really pass pro'd pretty well. I mean, you go against some rushers like they got, they held the pocket in there for Stetson. But we didn't do enough. We didn't make enough plays. They made the explosives, and give them credit for that. They got some really explosive, hard-to-cover wideouts.
Next, we'll go to Mike Griffith, followed by Austin Roper.
Kind of 2 questions here, Coach. One, it looked like obviously Aziz got there early and forced that first interception. That the pressures didn't look like they were getting there much after that. Was there a lot of blitzing? In hindsight, should you blitz more? And 2, the crazy schedule change. How much does this turn you guys upside down in terms of next week versus the following week?
Yeah, I don't think the schedule does much. It doesn't really change anything. It just gives us a week to recover now, as opposed to before. A week to recover before Florida. I mean, we just got to play a really physical Kentucky team first, and then go play Florida. And Kentucky is always one of the most physical teams in the league. As far as the pressure, I agree with you. We pressured probably as much as we always do. We didn't get as much pressure as we always do, and that has a lot to do with their offensive line. And there's probably been some guys running open like they were tonight in other games, but we got there, if you know what I mean. Like tonight, and I got to watch the tape because I don't want to judge that. I didn't think that we converted to pass rush really well. We were hunkered down trying to stop the run, and when we did pressure, it didn't get home. And the kid made some really good throws. I mean, look, guys, he's a really good quarterback, and it's not mobility; it's protection oriented with seeing every coverage in his career. The guy's seen a lot of coverages, and he's got some really good vertical weapons.
Hey, Kirby, you mentioned earlier about the talent that Alabama has a receiver, but with the penalties, especially that were in the second half in the secondary, how much do you feel that the struggles in the secondary were self-inflicted?
Penalties in the second half? Yeah, we grabbed them a couple times. Guys weren't able to run with Waddle, so they reached out and grabbed him instead of putting their hands on him and stopping him. But, yeah, that was huge. The Stokes penalty was third. I want to say it was 3rd and goal. I can't remember. But that was huge because you go from they're going to kick a field goal to their 1st and goal. You can't do that. Tyreek grabbed a guy. Stokes held on a big 3rd down early in the first half. They're going to be 4th and forever in the first half. Probably have to punt, and he grabbed and held a guy. So at the end of the day, the pressure they put on you with their vertical passing game or their wideouts probably forces some of those penalties.
Next, go to David Pascal, followed by Chip Towers.
Kirby, you've talked about Stetson and a couple of his picks. That first one that was batted, I guess he had about 4 or 5 balls that were batted tonight. Is that his height? Is that a pocket issue collapsing, and is that a concern?
Well, it's always a concern when it happens. It hasn't been as relevant. It hasn't happened as much. I think Alabama has really big defensive linemen, which typically push and try to cave in the pocket. Some of it's looking for a throwing window. Some of it's being willing to pull it down and run because he's a really good athlete and avoid that if he doesn't have his throwing window. But they did a nice job of that, and I don't honestly know the answer to that without watching the tape to see where he was going with the ball.
Yeah, Coach, I was actually going to ask the exact same question just about Stetson's height. I think it was 4 or 5 pass deflections at the line of scrimmage and 9 PBUs in the game. Might have been 10 by the time the final stats came in. So you answered that kind of. So I guess I'll just flip from that and just ask about Coach Saban. I know y'all got to talk a little bit before the game, and it was crazy, about whether he's going to get to coach or not coach. Just what were those conversations like? And I know ultimately you were glad to – be able to that he was be able to coach the game.
Well, first off, I'm glad he's healthy because anytime somebody thinks they may have COVID, that's a concern, especially somebody his age. You don't wish that on anybody. And I mean, I knew the whole time that he was going to be able to coach because I knew he had a negative test and that we thought it was a false positive. It was just a matter of getting enough tests to be able to come back. But he was very gracious of our team and the way we're playing and well coached, and I returned the favor and said the same thing. They're really disciplined. They're physical. They're everything you want to be in a football team because of their physicality and the way they play. And we're trying to do the same thing, and we didn't do it as well as they did it tonight.
Next, we'll go to Pete Thamel, followed by Brandon Sudge.
Yeah, Kirby, you've obviously seen sort of the evolution of Alabama to where their offense is now is a little bit indicative of the evolution of football and where we are when you look at how LSU won the title last year. I'm just kind of curious what you think when you see Alabama with playing the way they are now in terms of with field stretching receivers and, kind of winning shootout type games, which is very different than a decade.
Yeah, I don't know that it's new. I mean, I've said this all week. They had Tua. They were really explosive. I mean, they had a great group of wideouts. I mean, they had broken like every record in the SEC when we played them in the SEC championship that year. So they were already moving towards that. Sark actually is not as unconventional as people say. He's probably a little more traditional because he's got really good power run game. Their offensive line, guys, is extremely physical. I mean, they're big, they're physical, they lean on you, they wear on you, and they got a great back. So the passing game they use is really creative, and they run a lot of the same plays from different formations, and they did a good job of disguising those with motions and things.
Kirby, in terms of the offense overall in the second half, what do you feel like the difference was there in not being able to finish out drives and turn that into points? And then the other part is too, in terms of Stetson's performance in quarterback, do you guys still feel as confident in him as you have over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think Stetson's gotten better. When the level of competition changes, you don't change your evaluation. You have to grow and get better. And the experience he gained tonight will be invaluable for him throughout the rest of the run on the road. I think he's a work in progress, just like our team is, and he's going to grow and develop. As far as the second half offensively, I thought, number one, we turned it over. You can't do that and beat good teams, and we didn't convert third downs to sustain drives. And disappointing because I thought we were able to run the ball.
Probably have time for one more question. We'll go to Connor Riley.
Hey, Kirby. 3 games in your career now as a head coach against Alabama where you have a lead going into halftime, and in all 3 of those games you end up losing the second half. Is it just execution in the second half, or is there anything to that?
Don't really know. I think it has a lot to do with players, calls, execution, combination of a lot of things. But I do know this: if you turn it over 3 times in the second half and they don't turn it over any, you're probably not going to win. and that's what it boils down to is, putting guys in position to make plays, and they made more plays than we did in the second half. So I give them credit for it.